Thanks for joining. In this lesson we will practice with data types in JavaScript. We will see how it works. If you have any questions or need clarification along the way, feel free to comment below. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more exciting lessons like this. Let's jump right in and start learning. In JavaScript, data types define the kind of values that can be assigned to variables and manipulated within the code. Data types in JavaScript are used to represent different kinds of information, such as numbers, strings, booleans, objects, arrays, functions, and more. Data types serve as building blocks for creating and manipulating data in JavaScript programs. They determine how the data is stored in memory and what operations can be performed on it. Each data type has its own characteristics, behaviors, and rules for manipulation. In JavaScript, each value is associated with a specific type, such as string or number, and so on. In this lesson, we will briefly discuss all the data types, and in subsequent sections, I will provide detailed explanations of each type. First to mention, JavaScript provides the flexibility to assign variables with values of any type, providing versatility in programming, and it means that the JavaScript is weak and dynamic language and provides coercion. Let's see the meaning of these concepts based on the example where x is initially assigned the value of 10. First, weak typing means that in this example we didn't explicitly provide any information about the type of the value 10 to JavaScript. JavaScript in turn doesn't require this information and proceeds without any errors. It infers the type as number based on the value itself. Next, dynamic typing comes into play. The type of the value 10 is determined dynamically by JavaScript during assignment, and it is inferred as the number type. Later, on the next line, we dynamically change the value and type of x to a string by assigning the value high. JavaScript is flexible in allowing variables to hold values of different types during runtime. At the same moment, we concatenate the string high with number 5. JavaScript performs automatic type coercion, converting the number 5 to a string, and then concatenating the two strings together. The result is string high 5. Furthermore, we assign a boolean value to x with true. JavaScript internally converts the boolean true to a number, with 1 representing true in JavaScript's type conversion rules. Lastly, JavaScript performs the addition operation between the boolean 1 and the number 10, assigned to x. The boolean 1 is coerced back to a number, and the addition operation is executed. These examples illustrate how weak typing, dynamic typing, and type coercion work together in JavaScript to handle different types of values and perform operations based on the rules of the language. To proceed further, it is important to understand the type of operator in JavaScript, which provides the type of the operand's value. You can use the type of operator followed by the value you want to examine. It can be used with the space or parentheses. It works either way. Next, let's discuss the concept of numbers in JavaScript. Both integers and floating point numbers are collectively referred to as numbers. When you use the type of operator on an integer or a float, it will return number for both types. JavaScript also has special numbers values called infinity and minus infinity. These special numbers can be obtained by dividing a non-zero number by 0 or by dividing a non-zero negative number by minus 0. Infinity represents the mathematical concept of positive infinity, indicating a value that is greater than any other number. On the other hand, minus infinity represents the mathematical concept of negative infinity, indicating a value that is smaller than any other number. It's important to know that infinity and minus infinity are special values and not regular finite numbers. They have specific behaviors and properties in JavaScript, and they play a role in certain mathematical operations and comparisons. Next is not a number, or NaN. It represents a special value that indicates an unpresentable or undefined result of mathematical operation. The special case with NaN that the result of NaN in power of 0 is 1, because the exponentiation operation treats NaN as if it were 1. This behavior is defined by the ECMAScript specification, so when you perform NaN in power of 0, JavaScript considers it as 1 in power 0, and any number raised to the power of 0 is defined as 1, therefore the result is 1. Next example will be BigInt. BigInt is a data type introduced in JavaScript to handle large integers, enabling precise arithmetic operation on numbers that exceed the limitations of the standard number type. To create a BigInt value, you can either append the n suffix to an integer literal or use the BigInt function. It is important to know that the BigInt exists in JavaScript, even though further details are not necessary at the moment. Next, strings. Strings are fundamental data type in JavaScript that represent a sequence of characters. They are used to store and manipulate textual data. To declare a string in JavaScript, we have several ways. First and most common recommended ways are double, single quotes, backticks, template literals, and about template literals we will talk in future lessons. Also, to create a string we can use the string constructor and concatenation. With quotes, all is simple. You need to write a word, embrace it in single or double quotes, and the string is ready. I want to mention briefly how template literals work. We have the example, $, then curly braces, and inside of the curly braces there is a link to the val variable. So this part is a placeholder inside the template literal. The value of the variable, which is a val, is interpolated into the string when the template literal is evaluated, and also one important aspect, a template literal will preserve the new line and indentation order. If you write your string starting from the new line, template literals will produce exactly the same result. Template literals offer a convenient and readable way to create strings with dynamic content and multi-line strings in JavaScript. Next type, boolean. In JavaScript, the boolean data type represents one of two values, true or false. Booleans are commonly used for logical operations, conditions, and decision-making in programming. In some contexts, true can be represented as yes or 1, while false can be treated as no or 0. It's important to know that Boolean concepts are extensive, and we will cover them in more detail in future lessons. And I'll provide a brief explanation of the code. In this code, the first two variables, yes and no, are assigned the Boolean values true and false, respectively. These are hard-coded Boolean values and do not involve any comparisons. On the next line, we have the logical OR operator, which is represented by two pipe symbols. This operator returns the first true value it encounters, or false if both values being compared are false. In this case, the first value it compares yes, which is true, and greater than 0. Since it's true, the logical operator OR returns the left part of the comparison. Next type is null. In JavaScript, null is a special value that represents the intentional absence of any object value. It's a primitive value that indicates the absence of a value or absence of an object reference. You can explicitly assign the value null to a variable or property to indicate that it has no value. It is widely used to initialize a variable with an initial state of no value. You can use various comparison operators to evaluate null. When comparing null to other values using strict equality, it will only be equal to null. It will not be equal to any other value, such as false, 0, or an empty string. In JavaScript, when you use the typeOf operator on a null value, it returns the type object. This behavior is often misunderstood as indicating that null is an object, but it is actually a historical bug and not an accurate representation of the null type. Null is a primitive value in JavaScript, not an object. It represents the intentional absence of any object value. The typeOf operator incorrectly categorizes null as an object due to limitation in the language's early implementation. This behavior has been preserved for backward compatibility reasons. Next type is undefined primitive. This type or value is often the source of confusion for developers. When a variable is declared but not initialized with a value, it is considered undefined. This means that the variable exists, but it doesn't currently have a value assigned to it. It acts as a placeholder indicating that the value is yet to be determined or that it is ready to receive a value. JavaScript automatically assigns the value undefined to a variable when there is an absence of a defined value. This happens when a variable is declared without an explicit assignment or when accessing an object property that doesn't exist. For example, consider the variable noValue in the code snippet. The variable is declared without assignment any value to it, so it will be undefined. The undefined value serves as an indicator that the variable is currently lacking a value. It's important to handle undefined values appropriately in your code to avoid unexpected behavior or errors. Symbol type. In JavaScript, the symbol is a primitive data type that is used to create unique and immutable identifiers. Symbols are particularly useful for creating unique and non-enumerable properties within objects. They provide a way to define private or internal properties, avoid naming conflicts, and implement specific behaviors in libraries or frameworks. The concept of symbol is indeed a vast topic, and in this lesson we have introduced its existence and its purpose. In future lessons, I'll explain how to use symbols effectively and discuss specific use cases where they are required. The code I provided creates an empty object, myObject, and defines two properties using symbol keys, which are symbol key 1 and symbol key 2. Both symbol keys have the same description of key, but they are unique symbols. And the last type of this lesson is object. Quite often you will hear from developers that everything in JS is an object. It's not quite correct. In JS, everything is an object except primitives, what we just discussed in this lesson. So primitives like string number, BigInt, boolean, undefined, symbol, null. So objects in JavaScript are complex data type that can store multiple values and have properties and methods. They can be created using the object constructor or other specialized constructors like array, date, and so on. Objects are a vast subject to discuss, and I just wanted to mention them briefly in this lesson about data types in JavaScript. And to summarize, I have prepared this code with the data types in JavaScript. As you can see, it includes all types we have discussed here. The last type, which is described as a function, is indeed a function, because console.log is a function. JavaScript functions are objects with callable behavior, so while console.log is a function, it's also considered an object in JavaScript. And as always, lesson assignments. At the conclusion of each lesson, I highly encourage you to complete the assignments, as they will greatly contribute to your progress in JavaScript. By consistently practicing, you will see faster results in your learning journey. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions or need further assistance, feel free to comment below. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more great coding content. Stay updated with the latest videos by ringing the notification bell, and happy coding!